And welcome to the Rugby Biz podcast. And since the Springboks are back playing the URC, we are now also back in podcasting as well. I'm Thala. I'm joined by Kooks and Shaun today. We're going to be looking back into week 4 of the URC and just do a quick catch up on what's going on in the URC, the Premiership, and the French Top 14 in preparation for the first weekend of European Champions Cup rugby. And shame, also Challenge Cup because the Sharks are now in it as well. Let's start with Shaun. Shaun, how are you doing? How's been the last few weeks? Just you sort of easing back into rugby the last few weeks.
Yeah. We are the Johnny Sexton of podcasts powered by Rugby Bits. We only come back for the Champions Cup and the Six Nations. Other than that, we spend time in where do we go on holiday, Kooks?
We had a good break. I mean, I definitely think with the Johnny Sexton of Rugby podcast. I do love the fact that, like Tyler mentioned, that when the box off, we off. I love that. I love that about us. We don't pod on the first week of URC the same way we're not going to pod when Ireland plays Italy. I like this approach. I like this approach that we have.
Yeah, we're not Marvin Ori, who's a flipping machine. That oak has been. Yes, see, Marvin went straight back into the top football, not back in. He's went straight back into rugby and played for the top 14. A couple of guys have been rested up. Andre Pollard's cooking. Jasper Visser's cooking. Rory Cockett, not that he was in at the World Cup. I mean, Rory Cockett's having a great time at Stade Francais, but sheesh, yeah.
Stade Francais is having a flipping great time at Stade Francais. They're cooking at the moment.
Yeah, they've got a great side. They seem to have a good, fun bunch of guys. We'll definitely chat about their midfield soon. But I'm loving their kit. They've gone back to their old kit, and they're getting ready for Europe. But Tyler, to answer it, I haven't really had a break. I've been a little bit busy, but I did definitely take Saturday off and saw my mates, and Sunday a little bit. And I've been trying to get out early for a surf. That's the only time I can get out and free my mind is early in the morning before the world wakes up.
Fair enough. And yeah, glad to be back in the podcast with you. Kooks, Mr. Many commercials. I feel like I've been talking to you the whole time since you've been talking to me, selling me whatever products you're selling me these days.
Tella, I'm just trying to make sure that you don't miss me too much. That's all I want. I don't want you to feel like I'm never in your life, and so that's the thing. But I've been good, good break. Sort of slowing down into the year. I think I've definitely sort of taken the foot off the pedal. Like work with slowing down. I think from the 19 sort of wrap up work. So yeah, so it's actually been very nice. I've eased my way back into some rugby. Clearly, I chose the wrong week to watch the Sharks. I should have waited till last week when they pumped the Dragons. So should have actually come back last week. Yeah, I created World Cup as well, but we don't talk about that, please. I'm focused on we focus on India now, right now.
Oh, got you. Now saying, don't you have another World Cup? I mean, you've only done 12 this year, so or 1,200, I think.
Listen, the word World Cup triggers me now. It's a very triggering statement. I don't want to hear the word World Cup. I don't whether it's a badminton World Cup. You could tell me the Rugby World Cup starts again tomorrow. I'm not in it. Sorry, I'm taking a break from the. Give me anything with like URC championship. Just don't let it be called World Cup. It's my trigger word for. I've even muted those words from Twitter.
No, I think it's good that we are all easing ourselves back into it and have a lot to catch up on. We're going to be trying to just put our feet in the water or just take a temperature on the 4 South African URC teams and see where they are at the moment. I'm sure both Shaun and Kooks are keen to talk about where the Sharks are, and then we're going to be previewing the Champions Cup and looking at how the top 14 and Premiership sides are shaping up as well. But let's start with a bit of news, and the first bit of news is. Well, as you guys know, Rugby Bits is known for a few things, and one of the things that they're known for is it being an Owen Farrell Stan account. So, Kooks, I'm sure hearing the news that Owen Farrell is going to take a break from international rugby, to preserve his mental health and just to take a bit of a bit more of a relaxed time during the Six Nations. I'm sure you had a reaction to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, we know that he cops his fair share of abuse on social media, and I think probably, he always gets a rough of all the England all the England players. So, for him to decide, listen, maybe it's time for him to take a break, take a step away. it was surprising, but also probably understandable. You know, I mean, with the burden he carries, and you know, with this is Owen Farrell's down account, and I do hope that the break does him good. Breaks. I mean, listen, if it's a mental health thing, you've got to take it seriously. So I think if the Oak says he's feeling mentally burnt out and is then you already seen what's referees retiring. So I do hope that he does come back better and that you'll come fit and firing. But I must say, for an England point of view, I think it's I think for them, it's at least it can be a glimpse into the future, especially at 10. Keep George Ford there. Still, I mean, they had Owen Farrell, out in the World Cup when he was in the middle of tackling school. So for them, at least of this, they know it's like not to have Owen Farrell on the team. So I think for England, they'll probably continue as normal. But I just really hope that Faz does get better soon, and then hopefully I hope that he's on a plane to South Africa to play against the Bulls this weekend. I think it would be great for South African fans to see him playing here, and I think that's why we in the Champions Cup to have teams like Saracens here. So I hope that he does that we do see him featuring here in Pretoria.
Yeah, Shaun, I think it's with a player like Owen Farrell. I mean, he's kind of the same as Michael Hooper, who also took a bit of a break last year, if you remember. Owen Farrell's been playing Test rugby and top level rugby non-stop for about 10, 12 years since he was like 19, 20. So it's almost inevitable that he's going to have this sort of like stop. And it's, maybe a good thing that he does have a bit of a break. And I mean, he's still available for Saracens, but just the break of not, being the international spotlight, I'm sure it'll do him a world of good. But I would have loved for that England side to pretty much pick up where they left off in the World Cup and see if they can build some momentum.
Yeah, I also don't think, like, let's be honest here, it's not just the fact that he's been playing so much and the pressure of that. It's got a lot to do with the online abuse, and it's got a lot to do with all that other shitty part of rugby that no one really wants to talk about. And it's like, it sucks. It sucks that someone has to do that, to stop doing it because, like, he's got to do it for his family. And we've seen it. I mean, Craig Joubert, we've seen it. Kobus Reinach during the World Cup. It's like the abuse from the fans and all that. Like, everyone thinks it's all fair and well. It's open game because they're professional athletes and they just do it for shits and giggles. But like, it's quite serious, So I think, everyone, like, I mean, how many times you chat to your mates? Like, I've got a mate who's just like, fuck the Aussies, excuse my language. Like, that's just how he is. Like, no matter who it is, no matter what, like, just because they're Australian. And the same as the English. Like, I always say in South Africa, you either you hate Australia and England for some unknown reason, and like, it's either you hate one more than the other. But yeah, it's heavy, but the shit's got to stop. So yeah.
Yeah, I think he's near the top of most like underappreciated, like genuinely world-class like players that England has right now. Like that, I think maybe hopefully this time will also make people appreciate how good he is and the value that he does bring to England and Saracens as well.
The thing is that, like, so this year I actually had no doubt in my mind that if he played this, I mean, I just assumed he was going to play it when I thought it, but he will become, his next full season of the Six Nations, he will become the leading point scorer in the history of the tournament. He's currently the leading point scorer for England. He overtook Johnny Wilkinson. Like, that's the thing that I find so bizarre, is he's so good, leader, and every teammate stands by him. So it's just the fact that people don't like his face. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it. But yeah, speaking of, I think, sure, some of the things about abuse, you have Tom Foley that also retired from he's also taking a break from Test rugby after all the threats and abuse that he got. He was the TMO in the Rugby World Cup final, and he says he will be stepping away from international rugby after receiving a torrent of abuse after the World Cup. And yeah, I think, Shaun, you mentioned how those things are linked when we were talking about it before.
Yeah, it's was he also not the TMO for the South Africa-France game? I can't remember, but
I'm not sure.
it's just,
But I think
it's,
so because he's English, so I assume he usually goes with
yeah.
Bonds.
So yeah, I mean, it's horrible. But on a lighter side, I did actually today finally I got to watch the quarterfinal again, South Africa versus France, and wow, it was hectic. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But yeah, I mean, Wayne Barnes came out and it's just like Wayne Barnes, the best ref in the world, probably the best ever. But he's come out and said that he's made the TMO, like, made rugby better because of him as a TMO, and now he's stepping away. Fortunately for both Farrell and Foley's, they are going to still be involved in the Premiership, so we will get to see them. But I don't think this is the last we see of this. And God forbid something gets worse. So hopefully we can sort this shit out, because it's not cool.
Yeah, I think we need to just look at how I think the whole sort of ecosystem of, getting, I think, protection from refs, but also getting that open communication between refs, rugby teams, fans, so that everyone is almost on the same page as to what's expected from refs, what the rules are that they're trying to manage, what the intentions are with, how they, rule and regulate the game. And then also how, that open line of communication. And I think I'll give rugby fans a free tip. Watch other sports and see how other sports are officiated. You'd have a bit more of an appreciation of how rugby's doing. And that, yes, I mean, it's not the easiest game to referee. I think rugby doesn't help itself with how complicated it is compared to maybe most other team sports. But sure, football goes through some sort of like big controversy every week these days, especially in the Premier League. Basketball also has its own share of complications as well. I think mostly that rugby is actually doing probably a pretty good job, and maybe one of the better jobs out of the contact team sports that at least I watch every week. So yeah, maybe if you expand your horizons and watch a few other sports, you'll have a good appreciation that these guys that are in the middle are doing a really good job in comparison. Cooks?
Thala, I agree with you. That's what I was about to say. We've lost one of the better TMOs that we have in rugby. You watch the English Premier League, probably the richest league in the world, one of the richest leagues in the world. They cannot get the technology right. It is compared to what we think the troubles we face in rugby, compared to what's going through the VAR. They want to even ban, some are going to ban technology there. We just want to go back to just normal refereeing like they did in the 1940s. Just like have no technology at all, because that's how bad it's become. But my issue is, like, for example, this whole stems from the Kiwis obviously feeling that they got robbed by the TMO. Like, I don't understand it, because this starts from, it's the guys like Steve Hansen coming out and the breakdown crew saying, no, this try shouldn't have happened. The try should have been given, even though those are blatant, even though those are knock on, like those are infringements, so it couldn't be given a try. So the things that they're fighting for, arguably, the TMO made the right calls, but because someone like Steve Hansen is calling them out. So what happens? Someone goes on Twitter, probably takes a fake account and starts bashing the TMO. And now, for example, bashing the TMO and now getting death threats. It's ridiculous how this is where it's gotten. And for me, it stems from the people who are in the higher ups. So someone like Steve Hansen is going out calling out TMOs when they get calls right. Like, that's the worst part. It's not like he had a nightmare. He got the calls right, the ones that had to be made. Got back and said, guys, there's an infringement. So now, if those guys are getting it wrong, now fans got license going, well, Steve Hansen says it must be right. So then Steve Hansen says, so clearly this doesn't know what he's doing. And I mean, Paul Williams on Twitter said it nicely. We might lose referees. Rugby's getting a point where, I mean, England, for example, they've had clubs being closed doors recently. Now there's like players like Owen Farrell are taking breaks for their mental health. Wayne Barnes, the best referee in the world, is just retired, and he's got his fair share of death threats as well. And now it's like, now you're losing one of the best TMOs you have. So it's like, at what point do you stop? Because you might be running out of referees, and if you have no referees to referee the game, then we have no game. So listen, I mean, I think rugby, yes, the laws, it's a tricky game to referee. And I do think that the beauty of it is the engagement we all have our fair share of digs at referees, which is fair. But I always say there has to be a line. There has to be a line where you don't cross. You can disagree with the call without giving someone a death threat. You can disagree with the referee's decision without having to go on Twitter, threaten his family, or say something personal. It's the same thing I also say with players as well, with social media. So we're allowed to say a player is not playing well without taking it personal. That's my thing, and that's what's going to happen is we're going to have players not want to be on social media. Then we have no content, which is we're already struggling to have content already. Now you want players to be off social media, referees not to be on social media. Some refs are petrified to go on social. I know referees locally, they will never have social media. They're like, there's no way I'm putting myself through that and my family through that, which is, I think it's great. I think, for example, with Wayne Barnes and his wife, it's great to see them on Twitter, the interaction, the photos of Wayne Barnes posted with the English referees and seeing the chaos among the referees. They are as big as part of rugby as the players. So we can't afford to lose them. And I'm saying that, you know me, the Eastern Cape referees are thrilled that I'm no longer on the rugby field because we had a few shares of us. But again, I know how important they are to the game, but I'll never take digs at them personally. Just, where they ref, they might not agree with it, but that's the game. Someone might not like the way someone might not like the way I talk about the Dragons, which is fine. But don't go against me personally. Like, I just think there has to be a line, and if you've got to find the line before we start losing players who want us to take a step away from social media, then we have no content and just can't see them as human beings, or now might lose actually very good referees stepping away.
There's such a fine balance because, you mentioned like Wayne Barnes and his wife, I think her name's Polly, on social, like there's good banter there. But one of the things was, Wayne Barnes walking, I think it was to Twickenham for his 100th test match. Like that sort of stuff, walking with his kids. The thing is about social media is they can become more human to you. And so we need it. We need the players doing more human things, like having a bad day or whatever, because then it's a little bit more relatable for us. But then when we have them on, then we want to shit kick them to death, So it's really tough. And the other thing, like, I just wish we could balance it out somehow, because whenever anyone bitches and moans, it's when they lose. How about like we get the captains and the coaches and the players to commend the officials on decisions that they got right, even though they lost. Like that would also change things. The whole thing, like, everything comes out like, oh, that shouldn't have been a penalty. And as you say, Kooks, like everyone's focusing on the fact that Steve Hansen and the guys at the breakdown were focusing on the end situation from something that happened incorrectly, but totally discounting the fact that it was never going to stand anyway. So they've like got the ratings and upped it and just created a shitstorm just purely just for shits and giggles. The other thing, and I agree with you, Thala, you talking about like getting people more aware of the laws. It's technical and it's tough. But I was watching Sevens this weekend and the commentators were talking about a player was going to score a try. There was a bit of a breakaway and they turned around and were waiting, and another player kicked the ball out of her hand as she was trying to score. And the commentators are like, oh, that's no try, that's no try. But thank goodness the TMO knew what he was talking about, and they awarded a penalty try, because you can't kick the ball out of a player's hand when they're in the process of scoring. Now, so many people don't know that, but when the commentators don't know that, it really, like, it causes cuck. The problem is we can't send every commentator on a referee course either, even though it would be nice. I mean, I'd love to do one because I'd like to know a hell of a lot more, but it's challenging. But we've got to fix it.
I always say with like laws and like fans, especially when I watch games with my mates, and whenever a 50-50 call, it's a 50-50 or well, it goes against the box, so it's 100% wrong. You know how us box fans can get. And I'll say to my mates every time, like, I'll be like, no, it's a penalty against us. They'll be like, no, it's not. I'm like, if the same infringement happened, sort of was blown the opposite side, what would you say? Or like, no, it says a penalty. So I'm like, guys, the laws are very tricky. So, but we need to get to a point where even as fans in general, where you got to accept sometimes you get called, because sometimes you watch games, you go like, oh, geez, man, we got away with some things here. but you'll take it. And that's how the nature of the game is. Every team gets away with 50-50 things. It's never gonna be perfect. But I mean, I think I saw on Twitter where, I mean, it's a game where the refs, I can't remember which ref said it. It's like, it's a game where the refs get 95% things right, but it's the 5% people focus on, the one they get wrong. And it's and that's the 5%. And it's a hard job because obviously sometimes the 5% can be a call. You get blatant mistakes, and the refs know that there's blatant mistakes that happen, but which happens and the refs acknowledge it. But there's certain 50-50 calls, certain refs blow the breakdown a certain way. But like the one with the TMO, the Steve Hansen thing is, he made the right calls each time. They're still bitching and moaning about the Sam Cane thing. Just fix the tackle problem that you've had since since you started playing Super Rugby on your own. But now, because you want to fix it then, now on the world's biggest stage, it comes back to bite you. But no, don't blame Sam Cane or blame the system or blame the way you guys officiate laws. No, blame the poor TMO. Now, as a result of that, now we've lost a great TMO. Like National was also a great TMO. And then when the standard drops, you're gonna go, wow, where's all the great TMOs? Oh no, you've chased them out the game through death threats and things like that. So that's my concern. Because now we're chasing the great ones away. Now we might struggle now because we're stuck with the riffraff, and then good luck to see what happens now come June next year.
The riffraff. Ooh, can't wait.
The riffraffs, all the referees ref in the URC. Sorry guys, those refs you. Those are.
You know what, Cooks? I think the URC nations, if we would team up referees around the world and say who's the best or which country has the best referees, I think England's number one. I think it then is New Zealand or France number two. But I do think basically most of the URC teams are like near the bottom of the log, basically. We don't have the best crop of South African refs at the moment, if we are honest, but obviously that's just a lack of experience.
We just need Jacob Paper to ref every single game, every single South African derby. So if there's 1 at 3, he refs at 1 at 3. Gets an aeroplane, does a 5 o'clock game. Gets an aeroplane again, does a 7 o'clock game. It's very simple is what he's going to do. Jacob must leave his full-time job, whatever he does, to become a professional South African derby referee. But Shame, it is getting better. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it takes time, right? Which is why we have these leagues. But
same thing as with players. Players get better the
100%.
more they play, the more time they have, the more conditions they're exposed to. And I think that's the nice thing about maybe the URC is that someone like Andrea Pirardi from Italy, I think he's been getting a lot of, I think the first time he went on tour, I think it was in the first URC season, and he was really shaky. And he's now been he was an assistant there at the World Cup. He's done really well. He's seen as one of the growing stars of refereeing. So it will get there better time. But I do think we just don't have the best crop in South Africa, Wales, and Ireland, especially, and Scotland right now. Yeah, so we're going to have to see. But one other thing I was going to very quickly say is that with referees going away from the game, same thing's happening to English football right now. And just multiply the abuse that you get for rugby with football by 10 just because of the size of the game. Yeah, there's referees just not coming into the system, and they are really having a problem. And I think the one thing that it's almost counterproductive, but if you really want good referees, you better treat the ones that you have really well so that others can feel like they can be encouraged to come into the system one day. The one final bit of news I want to discuss, James, because you guys have been trying to delay us talking about the Sharks. I see you. Cooks, Beauden Barrett has re-signed. I see you guys. Beauden Barrett has re-signed with the All Blacks. He'll come back after his year in Japan, which does mean that he's going to be playing until he's, I think, 37, which in 16 years he's still a young man.
It's a massive shot. I love watching him play, so I'm quite happy about it. As long as he doesn't beat us, it's all good. Great shot. If we're honest, who do the All Blacks have coming through at the moment? So they've lost Barrett now, and they've lost Mo'unga, both gone overseas. Barrett's obviously coming back. I don't know when Mo'unga's coming back, but it doesn't. I know he mentioned that he could stay in Japan for as long as possible. So the All Blacks don't really have a hell of a lot. Well, they have no experience at 10 available to them, but they don't have a hell of a lot of options. So I think it's a very, very, very good move. for them right now, because they are going to need it. A 10/15 of his quality, anyone can use.
I just want to know, Shoki, how great was the welcoming party for Richie Mwanga where you just got to Japan, he was like, you know what? Yeah, I could retire here. I was like, like, you haven't even played a league game yet. Like, what's going on there? It must be such a vibe with his new club where he goes, you know what? Yeah, I've been here for about 2 weeks and now I can't see myself coming back to New Zealand. I'm happy to retire here. Like, raises back home. He's like, nah, I'm good here in Japan.
Yeah, brilliant. His agent has slipped him a note. Please make this call. Because I reckon it was between Moanga and Bowden Barrett. But I think Barrett was the right shot because Moanga will definitely go back. There's no ways he won't play for the All Blacks again. I really don't see that happening. It was probably a little contract negotiation tactic, but agreed. That welcoming party must have been sensational.
Oh no,
so.
it must have been incredible. But I agree, Shoki. I tweeted it saying that I think it's a massive coup for New Zealand rugby getting Bowden Barrett back, because obviously I think you'll be on sabbatical next year, but there isn't much coming through. Yes, there are. I did have a New Zealand fan on Twitter attack me saying there are a good few youngsters coming through from the. Is it still the Maritin Cup? Guys coming through the domestic cup, but again, in the NPC, yeah. But I'm saying, but those guys are still untested. Some of them haven't played full Super Rugby season, so you can't tell me now I'm going to space an NPC campaign and then going to throw you into a Test series again. I think they play England in June, so. And I know Damian McKenzie did a good run for the Chiefs at 10, and he's played a few games with All Blacks at 10. I'm still not convinced as him as a test fly off yet, in terms of just to sort of for the next 4 years. So I think having the safety net over Bowden Barrett, I think is very crucial. I do think the Super Rugby campaign is going to be very, very important for the All Blacks in terms of trying to find a 10. I think it's open season for the young 10s. Everyone except Fergus Blake. If Fergus Blake is playing for, I don't know. I'm not watching All Black games, and only in the Springboks. But it's open. Like I think it is. I think Shaun, it's probably the worst. Worst is tough. Probably the leanest stretch of 10s since Carter was there, and basically it was like either Slade, Stephen Donald. I know Stephen Donald came off for a fishing boat to win the World Cup, but there was a stage. It was like Carter or bust. Like if Glenn Carter wasn't available, they had no other 10s. Then sort of post 2011, Cruden comes through, Bowden Barrett comes through, Lima Sipawanga comes through, then Richie Mwanga comes through. So they kept having Joshua Warnish or glimpses. So they kept having a factory of 10s coming through, where it sort of slowed down slightly, probably this last World Cup cycle. So it's going to be interesting now to see how they go about a 10. I think 10 is a very, very crucial position for them. And I think with Razor, I think that's the biggest, he's probably his biggest challenge is probably trying to find another 10 outside Bowden Barrett and Damian McKenzie. But listen, he's the man for a job. But yeah, I think it's going to be a big Super Rugby campaign for those young 10s.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, McKenzie's there, but like Barrett covers 10 and 15, and he's a great safety net. The truth is I can't think of anyone right now that's going to play for the All Blacks in 2024 and like win big games for them at 10. And I'm probably going to get cucked on for this, but I can't. So it's a massive call, but it's also, the thing is having Barrett there and leading into the next World Cup where you're going to be blooding youngsters along the way, it's perfect. You know me in balance. I'm all for balance. Like
100%.
You've got to have a bit of experience. You've got to have someone there that's been there and done that, had the good times and the bad times. And obviously he's just flipping ridiculously talented. So great shots.
Shock you. We saw it as we saw it as Bok fans. I mean, we got in a position where we were so worried about Andre being our only 10 when he got injured when we missed the World Cup. And then Mahoney stepped up and it was incredible. And we loved him and he stepped up, he brought a different dimension to the Springboks play. And then when Mahoney sort of struggled a little bit, we had the safety net of Andre Pollard and we saw the end result of that. And I think the All Blacks are sort of probably looking at that blueprint saying, listen, if we can have Bowden Barrett back, we're arguably getting back one of our third greatest 10, or outside of Carter, Mertens, so it's not the worst sort of player to sort of fall back on as a 10 option. But Sharky, before we get to URC, I think we do have to give a big shout out to the Blitzbokke, another win in Dubai.
Yes.
I think they had had a tough going into it. Obviously, they missed the original World Cup qualifier, didn't qualify directly, and eventually got into the Olympics. So I think it's amazing to see them back on the winning trail, back in Cape Town this weekend. And flip, it would be awesome if they can go back-to-back tournament wins.
Massive. Like, we saw last season there was some teething issues, obviously with Neil Powell leaving, but the thing is, if you ever want to see the value of experience, you have a look at how the Blitzboks were last year versus how they were this season, this last weekend. Really, just a great performance. They looked so good. I didn't watch a lot of them last year. I watched them this weekend. They're super happy, and they seem to have it all ticking over. And coming into Cape Town off the back of a win is the best. But I mean, they've equaled records for wins on certain venues with that. Like, I think Fiji have got the most with Hong Kong, and I know the All Black Sevens have got something somewhere in terms of wins at a certain venue. But yeah, we're in the mix again, and that's all we need. A good start to the season and another win this weekend, and we're in great shape.
And 100%, yeah, definitely looking forward to this weekend. Thala, you back? Have you fixed your technical issues?
Testing. You guys hear me?
It was the first game. That first game after preseason is a little bit wobbly, like no one's in sync yet. And this is our first game back. It's really important that we come back before the Champions Cup, the Johnny Sexton style, so we can get sharp.
And Shocky, Thala's like Sekolisi. He needs time in the saddle. He gets better and better each episode. So I don't blame him. Thala, it's fine. We understand what you're doing.
Guys, I hope I'm fine. Speaking of Sekolisi, I can't tell you how many times. Actually, I can. It's 3 times in the last month or so. So I have like this green, like bog green Essex golf shirt that I got from my dad that does some work for SA rugby referees. And because my hair's a little bit up, I don't know how many times people have been like, do you know you look like Siya Kolisi? And it's just been like, I don't even know, like if people are teasing me.
Do the white lady voice again. Do the white lady voice again, please.
Hey, do you know you look like Siya Kolisi, eh? I mean, I'm so tired of that. So I don't know. I can't wear that T-shirt anywhere else because I might be.
I know Jared's busy. I know Jared's busy, and we obviously not going to see him as much on the pod. But wow, to replace Jared with Siya Kolisi, I think Rugby Bits, this is a massive coup for us, Shocky. This is huge.
And listen,
Siya Kolisi and Jonathan Dante.
Yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Yeah?
Jonathan Dante and Siya Kolisi join us on Rugby Bits. But I just want to say, whatever Racing 92 paid to get Siya Kolisi there, I guarantee if they could have paid him, if they had to pay him double, they would. The man is a walking rock star. He's a billboard for rugby in South Africa. He's an absolute flippin' legend. Wins his first game. He's getting eased in very gently into the Racing 92 family. The nice part about it is, if you want to see how good you are at rugby and how important you are to a team, is if you play every home game for them in the top 14, then you know you're the bee's knees. If you play away games, then you know you're on the fringes and you're about to make it. Kolisi's walked straight into the first team on home soil, and he was rested this past weekend when they played away. So, yeah, the man is brilliant. He's a flippin' legend. Thala, you are a legend. Like, walking back from the shops and talking and just loving life. So happy days. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Happy days until he plays 24 games in 2 weeks. So this is the easy in process.
No, I'm sure Stuart Lancaster is going to be like, oh, you want to still play for the Springboks? Let's see. And just
this is all fine until it's all fine until June and come Rugby Championship next year. This is all fine in games now. It's still on the World Cup high. This is our World Cup. Come, like, can I miss the first 10 games to be Rugby Championship? Okay, cool. We'll see about that.
Yeah, when Rassie Erasmus has to fight Bernard Laporte and his friends at France for if Siya Kolisi can be released from the final, which is in like mid-August or whenever the top 14 final is these days, and then he misses the June or the July Test series against Ireland. Yeah, it's gonna be all fun and games, guys.
You know what I was just thinking? Flipping, we're damn lucky that he didn't go to Racing before the Lions tour. Imagine that held him back. Imagine.
He was definitely not playing the Lions tour. 100% not.
The whole thing.
He's gonna play against Bordeaux and Lyon. So I mean, yes, like they're like Lions tour. What history? Who cares? We're playing Bordeaux on Saturday. Like, can you please shape up?
Yeah. The day's coming when French teams treat Springboks like they do the Fijians and just be like, oh, you want to play for your national team? Okay, well, that's the end of your contract. But guys, you have tried to do all these delaying tricks long enough. Let us discuss Bulls 44, Sharks 10. No more running away from it.
The first game of the weekend was Munster versus Glasgow, and Munster won 49.
Do you have a 10-minute summary for that game, Shaun?
Glasgow made a pretty decent comeback, but Munster put them to bed. Ahern at blindside flank, watch out for him. He's going to be a beast.
Good, eh?
Yeah. And then Bulls beat the Sharks 44-10, but then after that, Cardiff played Scarlet. So that was a flipping massive Welsh derby. Huge.
Kooks, do you have 20 minutes on Scarlets winning in Cardiff?
Yeah, it was a great game. I mean, like I know the Sharks. I mean, got Springboks and the Bulls. I mean, great game. But I mean, Scarlet's Cardiff is where it's at. I mean, I think it's South Africa, it's the URC. We need to stop. We need to embrace the other derbies. That's our problem. We need to embrace those games. Scarlet's, Cardiff. That's the games we should be watching. Who cares about the game that happens at 3:00 at Loftus? I mean, we're busy. It's December. We have Prize. I'm all for late Friday night, early Saturday game. Scarlets, Dragons. That's where my focus is right now. Sharks, hey, I've had SA derbies my whole life, but I've never had Scarlet's Cardiff my whole life. So that's where my focus is.
Oh goodness, you guys really don't want to talk about this, do you?
It was a shit show. It was a shit show. Thala. To lose like that to the Bulls, like I don't care if it's at Loftus. If you look at the teams on paper, there's not a 34-point difference. And there's something going on there. Like, it can't be the coaches because the coaches have come and gone. Like, this was happening before Neil Powell joined. This was happening, when Springboks have come and gone. Like, there's quality there, but it's just not working. Like, what's going on? I don't know, but there's something shitty happening there.
Yeah, I think let's go into some detail about it. Look, the Sharks, in the URC round so far, I mean, they've not really had a great time of it. They are second from bottom on the log. Kooks' two favorite teams marooned at the bottom of the URC. Dragons last, Sharks second last. They've won 1 out of 7 games. They've had only, 2 losing bonus points in those 6 losses, which also shows you, how bad it's been for them. Kooks, just on the Sharks, like Shaun said, I guess there's an element of we need to give John Plumtree and the coaching staff some time. And it's a very talented coaching staff, so it's not really them. The team, at least on paper, looks really talented. So it surely isn't them as well, especially now when you add back the Springboks. But things aren't really adding up, and things aren't really. There hasn't been too much of an improvement from what was happening last year. I mean, the only thing that it looks like is that Plum wants to add some pace to the game, but it's not really working at the moment. And I don't even know where you start. Like, it's one of those things where there's many holes, or your car's just been in a crash and you don't know which part to fix first before you get the other part sorted. So, Kooks, what's your analysis on on where the Sharks are right now?
What Plum said at the end of the game was very fitting when he said that I think the Dragons win 2 weeks ago sort of masked a few of the areas and put a plaster in sort of things. And I think the Bulls kind of showed where the Sharks actually are. I think the first 20 minutes of the game, it seemed fairly even. The Sharks looked very, very threatening. And it looked like the game was very, very balanced. And I think what the Bulls did, you could tell which side is the more is sort of is a more put together side. The side that spend more time together. And I think with the Bulls, you can see that yes, I thought the Bulls have signed a lot better. I think the guys that have come in have been very good and key signings. And I think the Sharks, I think that it's finding time for the new signings that came. Some came mid-season, the Franz Fentes, Rowan Jans van Rensburg, and guys like that. And guys like this, they still need time to sort of gel with the sort of the Springboks and obviously a new coaching staff. I do think they do need time. I think that's all you can do. I don't think this is going to be a one-season turnaround project. I think obviously you can tell now the way that you can see the way the Sharks want to play, which is something we couldn't say a year ago during this term. So you can see they want to throw the ball around a lot more, and I do think that the Sharks in that game on Saturday is that 20 minutes before halftime hurt them because they were in the game in the first 20 and you're thinking, oh, geez, a few more chances here and there, one or two mistakes here and there. And the Bulls were the better side. They were just more clinical and then sort of put the Sharks away in that last 20 minutes. And then once it was 29-5, by 29-10, that Moore tried the end, that was game over. So I think that's the teething problems the Sharks are going through. They're just conceding at the wrong times. Happened against Connacht as well, conceding tries at the wrong times, silly mistakes at the wrong times. They'll be good for 10 phases, but then make a mistake on the 11th phase. It's all those small areas that are hurting them. And I do think that it is frustrating because of the players that they have. And I think and the caliber that they have, but there are holes there that need to be sort of fixed. And the problem is you almost don't know where to start. You don't know where to start because you fix one hole, you sort the scrum out, and then there's an issue in the back, and then you sort the midfield out, and then now the 10s aren't playing as well. And I just thought, I think that was a big one. And also I think decision making in the weekend. I mean, there's a time when the Sharks went for another long range penalty. And I'm thinking, guys, at 79, like, can you just go 70? Can you just go for the corner? You have the momentum, the pack's going well, just go for the corner. Yet again, we go for 2 long range penalties, miss it. The Bulls come back, go down, score 2 tries. So it's like those are the things that hurt the Sharks. Their mistakes are just being quantified at the moment. But then you go against a really, really good Bulls side who saw a sniff and they just absolutely ran away with it.
You have absolutely nailed it. So the way the Sharks played in the first 20 minutes are the talent the Sharks have. But then what happened afterwards is just shows how mentally weak, or how not mentally weak, that sounds horrendous, how they are struggling. They are struggling to believe in themselves and stuff like that. If you look at the Springboks and when they land up in trouble, like, they believe in their game plan. The All Blacks are the same. Ireland are the same. They will just stick to their game plan and go because they trust the process. But you've got to win to trust the process. And the Sharks, I mean, with respect, like, we beat the Dragons. Like, the Sharks haven't looked good to win anything. And it showed. And Jake White, like, everyone took the shit out of him when he came on and he was signing so many players. He knows what European rugby is all about, especially when you're going to be playing in the Champions Cup or the Challenge Cup. And he's putting guys together. They've never looked horrendous, but they haven't really performed at their potential, where the Sharks have really looked shit. Like, that's the thing. They've really, really looked shit. They've had, like, last year when the Springboks came back and there was big games, they pitched up and they did well, but they lost with respect, where now they're not. So they're struggling for a little bit of leadership somewhere, and it normally comes with the Springboks. But now, I mean, we said it last year, the fact that the Sharks are in the Challenge Cup is a blessing in disguise. But now, looking at it, like, I'm like, how the hell, like, we've really got to sort something out. We've got to use this opportunity. The Sharks have to go far in the Challenge Cup to salvage their season, because I don't see them winning the URC. They could put in a shot. They could probably lose the URC for someone else, like knock them out of the playoffs or something like that. But I don't think they have what it takes to go all the way right now, just purely by what I've seen. The Challenge Cup, however, is a different story. The Challenge Cup, historically, everyone goes hard in the beginning, but you'll see sides that, if they're not looking good in the Challenge Cup, they won't stay focused on it. They'll stay focused on domestic competition. So, and then you'll see how it goes. And the Sharks probably need to focus on the Challenge Cup this season, and they need to pull it out the hat. Like, I've all the faith in John Plumtree. I really rate him. It's time to start coming together now, though.
I think, Shaun, like, there's something there. It's not dead and buried. Yes, obviously the start wasn't ideal. It's like I've always said the URC, and I tell people it's tough to go on tour. It's tough for those guys to come down here, and it's tough for us to go up there. It's just, it's a tough way to start your campaign. It's 4 games away from home. Yeah, so, I mean, you should never lose to Zebra, and obviously the Connacht loss at home. Those are the ones probably the big frustrating ones for the Sharks. But I do think the biggest thing for them now is just getting a string of wins together. I think the more wins to come, the more the thing. It's like, you know, it is, Shaun, bro. Like it's so hard to justify a new plan and a new structure when you're not winning. So it doesn't look as good. It looks a lot more messy, a lot more a lot more disjointed. You look at the Stormers, for example. The Stormers were played 5, 1-2, lost 3, but no one's panicked about them because they've been winning. Take that back two seasons ago, it'd be panic stations before they went on this incredible run. It just said it would be panic stations, but what winning does, it gives you that extra confidence. Like when the Stormers go back from tour, they'll be the first ones to say, man, that tour wasn't the way we expected it to go. We should have probably gotten maybe 1 or 2 more wins. But now the faith is still there because they know how good they are at home. And that's the luxury that Stormers have brought through winning. I think that's what the Sharks need to get back to, is stringing together wins. Because that first 20 minutes, I said that, I was like, oh, geez, the Sharks are up for this. Oh, there's something there. The rugby we're playing, you can see it. But the problem is that little dip where we made a few mistakes, the Bulls punished the Sharks and punished them properly, which is, I mean, yes, Thala, we're going to praise the Bulls now. It shows where the Bulls are. And yes, last season they had a stumble, but I think Jake made a great point in saying that he's finally added the right amount of depth. Last season he played his players a little bit too much, and now he's got the right amount of depth in. Didn't make, obviously you got the Volkolos in and the Akafana Maverick, but small little signings like a Seb de Klerk comes in, a Devin Williams comes in, Sergio Peterson comes back. Yeah, you add Willie, but those other guys, they're adding to how ready. I mean, then Cameron Hanegom comes from out of the blue and is basically, someone's got to get his Springbok blazer fitted before Wayne Gatlin tries to steal him. But you add with the Sharks is they still need a whole lot more. They're still making those big wholesale changes, and they're trying to change so much. Big name centers, big name props, big name locks. They're trying to change everything, and unfortunately, it's one of those things where sometimes it has to get a little bit worse before it gets better.
Yeah, the Sharks remind me so much of the first Man City wave. So before they became really good, when they bought like Robinho and Joe, and like they just went on big money, but they didn't really build a structure around the team. And the problem there is what the Stormers, for example, did well is that they had a sort of a working game plan, and then the Springboks just add a bit of pizzazz to it. So the Stormers have played Sasha Mngomezulu at 12 for I think 5 of the last 6 games, and Sasha in many ways is very similar to Damian Willemse right now. So when Damian Willemse comes into the team and he's back from Springbok youth and he plays at 12, it's pretty much a similar role, but obviously Damian adds, another level to that. Is, for example, so Makazole Mapimpi comes into the team. Is he in any way similar to Werner Kok, who he effectively replaces? I wouldn't say so. When Lucanio Am comes onto the team for Ron Janssen van Rensburg and or Francois Venter, is he similar to that? No. Eben Etzebeth, obviously, the Sharks have really struggled with locks the last few years. So Eben Etzebeth is a way different lock to what's coming in there. So I think what could have been done or should have been done a little bit better by Plum and the team is to try to build that structure without the Springboks. So when the Springboks come back, they're adding to it instead of it's still looking a bit confused. So I think that's the first thing that they need to fix. And Shaun, I think you're right that the Challenge Cup has to be used now, not necessarily for Eben to have a break because they're going, actually don't even know which group they're in. I should check that. But like, it shouldn't be a break or full break for the Springboks. I think it should be, the game in Pau, for example, this week or against Pau this weekend in Durban. The Springboks should maybe be on the bench, but it should be, okay, we need to actually get our structure going. We need to actually fix how we play. We need to work out our game plan and get some confidence in it. The second thing I just want to point out is, geez, the defense looks really bad. Oh my goodness. I mean, the defensive stats from this game is that they out of the 66 tackles they attempted, they missed 21 of them. So they had a tackle success percentage of 68%. And if you look at all the tries, they really targeted the Sharks midfield. and were able to just target the Sharks midfield, suck in Mapimpi and Yankee. It actually looked like the Springboks in 2018 when the wings, actually, ironically, the same wings were trying to learn the rush defense or the Ninob rush defense. And it was so easy just to suck them in. And then there's a lot of space to play with out wide. And the Bulls over and over again just targeted that and had a lot of fun. Stedman Khans thought he was playing sevens basically with the amount of space he had. Kanan Moody couldn't have asked for a better reintroduction and Cody answered to the team. They really just had a chance to ball. I mean, that try that I think Akka van der Merwe scored near the end, where David Krill just kicks the ball ahead and Akka's the first one to catch it. It's just like, where's the structure of the defense? It's just fallen to pieces. So, yeah, I don't know what the quick fixes are for the Sharks. I think it starts with them. They almost have to go in the next few weeks. We're going to focus on set pieces and sort that out. Like, we don't have Koch, we don't have Bongi. We're going to focus on set pieces and get Ox, Kuni, and pick one of the young hookers, Mbata or Uester or whoever, and you are going to be fixing our scrum and our line out. Or we're going to fix defense. We're going to just work on just being a much better defense and being aggressive, have high line speed and all that sort of stuff. They just need to try to fix one thing. And I think you're right, Shaun, that there is stuff that looks better, and it looks like there is more of a game plan than there was in the last 2 years, but it's still, there's still a long way to go. So I guess there has to be some patience from Sharks fans, but yeah, I think the Challenge Cup needs to be is a big opportunity now for Plum to really get the structures going. Number one, and number two, I think apart from Pepsi Buthelezi, maybe there's arguably a few others. I'm not sure which of the Sharks non-box are putting up their hands right now. I mean, I'm looking through the team. There's a lot that I'm just like, are you really on form? Are you really playing well? Notches, obviously, he's really consistent. He plays well. I don't know if Cohen Bosch is having the best time. Obviously, he's a big confidence player. I'm not so sure about Francois Venter at 12. I think Ronnie Janssen van Rensburg should be playing at 12. Fussie's been good in attack, but doesn't look like the defense is really improving. There's just not a locking partner for Evan Etzebeth right now. Like there's still those holes, and it doesn't look like there's players that are just putting up their hands to go, look, build on me. Like, we've seen with, how the Stormers have gone. Like, I think the Sharks can look to their Cape Town cousins and just go, look, we need to just build a way of playing and just like you guys said, just build that confidence that whatever happens, we're going to continue with this way of playing up until the results turn around. Because, yeah, if they don't, like results like this are going to be happening more often. Shaun, just quickly, any positives for the Sharks? Any little bright lights that they can maybe build upon? Maybe players playing well or something that they're doing well as a team?
The only thing for me is it has to get better. They've got the personnel to actually make something with this squad. That's the bright light for me. Something I wanted to mention when you were talking about the loose trio, I'm not convinced that they are balancing that loose trio. It doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And you're right in that they need to go back to the basics. They probably need to just play boring rugby just to get those positive reinforcements there. Like, cool, we've got our loose trio right. Like they're doing the job. They're sorting this out. They've eased off the pace here. They've sorted this out. And then you take that, you take the win, you take this and you build slowly, like aggregation of marginal gains. But the Sharks, like I don't even watch them like I used to or get excited about it. I'm excited about the anticipation of watching them, and then it very quickly dissipates. So the good thing for the Sharks is they have the players. I don't believe that they're not wanting to win. That players want to win. Like just for you as a human, for your ego, you want to win, especially if you're a professional athlete. So whatever's going on, I'm hoping it gets sorted without some chaos of kicking the coach out. I mean, they've booted out a couple of coaches already. So is it so bad that Plumtree can't fix it, or is Plumtree joined in with the baddies and the rest of the guys still don't like them? I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. But I don't like, as a South African, getting embarrassed by our sides, and they're starting to embarrass us now.
Let's talk on the other side. The Bulls, they are third on the URC log, 5 wins and 2 losses so far. Did pretty well in Europe. I think all things considered, especially last year when they could barely buy a win in Europe, they played really well, and they could have, should have, in at least one of the losses with the Marcel Coetzee red card. And even in this game, no Nokia, no Coetzee, and they still, really blew the Sharks out of the water. Cooks, you've already talked about Cameron Hanekom, who's probably the find of the tournament for the non-Bok players so far. And I'm sure Warren Gatland is trying to move him as soon as possible to the Dragons. I'm sure the Dragons are trying to steal him into the plane. The Bulls, I think, just look like a well-balanced team again. Like, they've sorted out one of the big issues, which is prop with Volko Low, I think, bringing some experience there. The loose trio looks absolutely scary, and that is without Marcel Coetzee playing at 6 right now. Wilson looks like he plays really well. I mean, especially at Loftus, there isn't really too many better than Jan Wilson running your backline. And then, having Moody, Arendse, LaRue, even Stedman Gans and David Creel, like all of those 5 are good playmakers, and they can, get the opportunities of their own as well. They really had a lot of fun on Saturday, and pretty much dancing around the Sharks. I'll start with you, Cooks. What do you think the Bulls are making that step up to be in that Stormers, Munster, Leinster level, or is there still a few things they need to just get right before they get to that top tier of the URC?
I think talent-wise, they definitely can get up there with the Stormers, Munster, Leinster, top tier. Talent has never been an issue for them. I think last year Jake is riding players into the ground, and then sort of obviously they just sort of fall flat in the running in the tournament. But I think the Bulls have got the opposite of what the opposite of what's happening to the Sharks is they non-Springboks have stepped up massively. Stedman Gans has arguably been the 13 of the tournament so far. He's been incredible. He's stepped up. David Creel, I know Thala, you love his brother Richard Creel, but David Creel at 12 has been an absolute revelation as well. You look at the Cameron Hanekoms, and someone that's been very, very good and sort of gone under the radar is Stevie G or Gerard Steenkamp. He's been incredible. You can see the time he spent with the box and how much the confidence that it's given him. I thought he's at a great start to the season, and then obviously now the Springboks come back in the Kanan Moody, Arendse, a shame they gave poor D-Rex Mapimpi a tough time on the weekend. But you look at the quality that comes in, the Villaroo comes in, and then and I just think the Bulls' the signings has been good. I thought Sebastian de Klerk has been phenomenal since he's come on. Sergio Peterson's come back, and looks like he has another step. So they've added good depth, and they're doing that without guys like, there's no Marcel Coetzee, there's no Rowan Nokia who probably played about 64 rugby games in the last year. Now they're in a position where they can rest players, in a position where they've got a squad, their depth is big enough for them to compete. So I think, and also they're playing very good rugby, but the biggest thing for the Bulls is going to be injuries. I think that's with Goosen and the 10 channel, they tend to do that's for me the worry. Obviously you have Jaco van der Walt who's come back as well to sort of try and negate that. But I do think, Thala, this is the year they can compete. This is the most Jake White quotes I've taken out in a long time. I think I'm making up for last year. But he did mention at the end of the season last year, and he said when they lost the Stormers that they won't be as bad as they were last season. He's made mistakes, and he learned from them, saying, I needed to add more players. I needed to add more. And I think the Bulls were in a situation where, yes, they added the Volkolos and the Villaroos, but the guys like the other guys have signed, guys from the Pumas, giving guys a chance. And now Cameron Hanekom comes in. That's fantastic. And I'm also so happy to see Eric Lowe back at the number 7 jersey. I still think blindside flank is his best position. And he's been absolutely, he was amazing again in the weekend. So I do think they can definitely compete, and they're going to be, and now they've got this obviously based in South Africa now for the next few months. Besides obviously the Champions Cup, but URC was they'll be home for a bit, in South Africa for a bit. That game against the Stormers on the 23rd is going to be an absolute cracker, because obviously the Bulls haven't been the Stormers in a while. Stormers, it's going to be, ironically, that'll be the Stormers' their second game at DHL, and their first URC game back at home. They've played so many games this year, and they've actually never played at the DHL Stadium, those poor guys can't wait to get back there. So I think that's going to be the big litmus test for the Bulls. If can they beat the Stormers at the DHL Stadium on the 23rd of December?
And Shaun, Bulls versus Saracens on Saturday looks like it's going to be a 5-course extraordinary meal.
I can't wait. Sure. It's going to be cracker. And the best part about it is the Bulls, like the Bulls are cooking and are in form. Saracens have got European and English pedigree. They are there to win. They're not going to be sending a shitty side. I don't think they will. It's going to be a cracker, probably up there with one of the games of the weekend with the La Rochelle Leinster as well.
Yeah, we have a lot to look forward to there. Let's go to the next game for the South African teams, which is the Lions beating Cooks' old friends, the Dragons, 49-24. I mean, to maybe add a bit of pain to the Dragons, I mean, the Lions only needed 14 men in order to score 6 tries against the Dragons on Saturday with the lock, Ron Dalport. Sorry, yeah, it was a Ron Dalport. Yes, sorry, Ruben Skuman getting the red card quite early on. But it didn't really stop the Lions too much, and them on the counter attack with Keon Horn and Richard Creel, and I mean Ego van Wyk even showed some wheels in the one try on Saturday. They look really dangerous. I mean, the Lions are doing pretty much what the Lions do most seasons and are showing some signs of promise, if not the consistency that they need. But look, they'll be happy with 3 wins out of 7, especially after this is post their tour as well. Shaun, I mean, there's so many things there's a lot of nice things about the Lions right now. There's a lot of young players that are putting up their hands, from the Kabakanyes at prop to the Ron Fenters at flank. Sanel Nwamba being, the South African version of Morgan Parra. I mean, it keeps making me smile and laugh just seeing Nwamba just owning it at fly half.
Yeah. The Lions, like, they're being largely ignored by non-Lions fans. Sorry, Ringo. You're kind of watching them. You're just expecting them to just be like, with respect to the cheaters, they've taken that like cheaters mantle where it's like the leftovers and they do what they do. So no one's really paying attention to them, but they're pulling it together. Cash has done. He's put his side, like they're starting to be competitive. Where, like, if you play them in South Africa, like the Sharks will be worried. I'm pretty sure the Stormers will be slightly worried as well when they play them. So they're starting to put their hand up, and a bunch of players are like they're playing better than they are individually as a team. Like it's incredible to watch. So much to happen still. They're gonna, like, having said all that, they're probably still gonna finish like mid-table. I don't know. You reckon they're going to be able to challenge for playoff spots? I don't think so. That's the weird thing about it. They've got the guys. They're talented. They're doing it. They're moving it around. Nhamba starting at 10, I never really saw happening. I'm all for him starting at 9 and moving to 10. But, they're struggling a little bit there. And they need to kind of waiting for Jordan Hendrickson to come back into form. And I think that's a big thing for them. When he comes back into form, there could be quite a bit of trouble for the opposition.
I think the best news for the Lions is the number of players they've retained until for the next few years. I think that was a massive thing for them, keeping all their best players. And we know, obviously, they've been almost a feeder team for all the other unions. So the fact that they keep their core to get better, I think it's a job where, because there are a lot of youngsters. So it was never going to be a 2-year turnaround. It was going to take time, but they are a lot more competitive and they are playing very good rugby. Listen, I know they were playing against the Dragons, but still, to be 40 men down and still put 40 points on. I mean, they were arguing about whether to get a penalty to try to get the 50, to try to get the 50, and that's a good place to be. And I think the Lions are just putting their hands up. I think for them, Thala, to make the playoff push, they've got to tour well. They need a tour where they can, at least come back with 2 wins. And then obviously then clean up here at home. I think that's the key thing of the URC is how well you do on tour. I think if you're coming on with 2 out of 4 wins, that's a good result for them. But to come, I think it's top 8. I think come in 8th place, try to sneak in, because I think from I'll probably say from the top 4 from 5-8 to 5-10 it's a dogfight there. And I think the Lions can sort of string wins together and get there. I think obviously for them, Jaden Hendricks, obviously I think he's still they 10 they want to get right. But I mean, the way Nahamba's going now, I mean, it's just beautiful to watch. A guy who could not get, the guy who would struggle the Sharks. We saw the potential, and now we can see him expressing himself. I mean, geez, can they just can the Bulls let Simelane just go down the road and just go back to the Lions? I think that's someone else who would also thrive in that environment in what they're building there. So I just hope now that the Lions, the more wins they get, the less and less they have to feed their players hot dogs when they go on tour.
I'm sorry, I just got my hand up in time. I want to talk about the Simelane issue because it's so, like, what is it? Is it the Bulls or Jake White's fault? Is it Simelane's fault? Like, what is happening there? We would have expected to see more of him. I mean, he played 15 last year. It's such a tough one. Like, you really don't know unless you inside and you understand what's happening. But it's a tough one. I personally believe that he's a URC starter kind of a player. I firmly believe that. But I wonder what is going on. Like, what happened that moved him away from 13, put him on the wing, or put him at 15, or put him on the bench, or just got him ejected from the squad? Like, it's wild. It's one of the things that I don't understand about sport is, I mean, obviously we know some guys like step up into it and just don't like it or don't enjoy it. Some guys take a while to get in the groove. And it's weird, but we're all kind of wanting him to be Springbok ready last year already, and he's just not getting any look-ins.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, there was a time where he was looking at, he was, I think, almost days away from going to Cape Town, and that didn't work out. And if you went to the Stormers, I think that was just, as Dobbo came in, and imagine adding Simelane to, all the attacking talents that the Stormers had and have, like, that would have been amazing. I don't know. It just, maybe there's maybe something that we obviously don't know, but yeah, it seemed like Jake wasn't too convinced about him being a 13. Obviously, we know that he's not the best defender in the world, but I think that's probably more because there wasn't really anyone to learn from at the Lions up until Jacques Fourie came, I think, the season after he left, and tried to play him in other positions. That hasn't really worked out. I mean, yeah, I'm sure people in the know will know what stories or whatever are behind it. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a damn shame because it's such a good talent. And, there is I wouldn't say a gap. I mean, obviously, Creole themselves are, I think both of them aren't even 30 yet. And you have the Ron Niles, you have Henke van Wyk as well coming through. But as Stedman Khan, as Quick said, is one of the form players in the URC. But geez, I mean, if you guys similarly to that mix, that would be great.
Thala,
Just back on the
Thala,
Lions. Go on, Sean.
Where's he going to fit in? So it didn't look like he was going to get a look in at the Bulls. But he's not going to play 13 at the Sharks unless they get rid of a couple of guys and then he plays 13 while Lukanya is away. This is probably controversial, but I don't think that he's better than Ruan now at the Stormers. I don't think he will, like, he's great to attack, but the Stormers have so many dynamic attacking threats. Sometimes you need the null there to settle things down. The Cheetahs, I don't know who's playing 13 for the Cheetahs at the moment. Probably Frans Steyn. But yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, where's he going to go right now in South Africa and get a look in where he will actually get some proper game time?
It's so ironic because if we had this conversation 2 years ago, it was like, who's after and now it's pretty much all the RC sides have a very good or a informed option there, and now it's okay, where does he go? So it is sad in that respect.
And Van Wyk at the Lions. Sorry, before Ringo shouts at me. Van Wyk at the Lions. He's not going to replace Van Wyk at the Lions. So
No.
he's really nowhere right now in South Africa.
Yeah, you just have to. Yeah, he has to almost make it work there at the Bulls and try to break through if and when he does get an opportunity, and maybe Jake does rotate more like he said he was gonna do, or yeah, he has to work something out basically. Maybe, I mean, Zebre and Benetton seem to be a place, or even the Welsh side seem to be a place where you can try to restore your fortunes as a South African player right now. So maybe that's also an option. Just on the Lions, though, just to continue that conversation. Yeah, like it's a very good backline, but I think Cooks we never really give. I mean, it's a team with a lot of great players. I mean, we talk about the Chitukas and the Fenters, the Horns, the Van Wyks, the Kwan Horns, Richard Creel. I think Cooks mentioned it a little bit. I think he's almost the low-key signing of the season. He's just been a really good
Brilliant,
option. That's number one. Put Horn at 15, which helps a lot. And he's I mean, just like his brother, they just seem to be really talented rugby players. You can play them anywhere, they'll make a good impact. But the man in the middle that I think puts it all together is Marius Lowe, who's, I think, just the perfect 12 for that sort of team of, you've got chaotic and just amazing talents all around you. You just need that guy that will run straight and get meters that way and make 100 tackles a game.
100%. And I'm glad I'm glad I got to intercept that from before Cooks took it away. But I'm all for balance, and that's exactly what I'm talking about when I was talking about the Stormers and having Null at 13. Maurice Lowe is exactly that. He's a guy that will straighten things up. He does his job, and you could easily not see him as high profile as the other players because he doesn't do that sort of stuff. But they can't do that stuff unless he does his stuff. So yeah, everyone's got to have one if you're going to have a whole bunch of wild guys around. And but since he's moved from the Sharks, he's been ripping up trees. So it's been incredible to watch.
Yeah, and a quick shout out to PJ Boerter. I think he might be a sneaky option there for a Springbok hooker in the next year or two. I think he's just slowly putting some form together, doing the right things. He's got his set piece sorted. Like, don't be too surprised if that happens. And also, just shout out from the Dragon side, their wings are amazing. If nothing else, like Rio Dyer and Ashton Hewitt are just blitz finishers, and I mean, I think they're two players that would be like, we want to play in Joburg every week, or we want to play in the Highveld every week, because they would be making like 100 meters a game and breaking 10 tackles a game and scoring like 5 tries a game if they were able to play here all the time. So I think let's move to the Stormers. They played another game at Donny Craven. They supposedly new home. They beat Zebre 31 points to 7. Reintroduced most of their Springboks. Dion Fourie, Mani Lebok, Damien Willemse came into the team. Cooks, it pretty much looks like, the Stormers train of the last 2 years, and it's just continuing to roll right now.
No, it is. And I think, first of all, I just want to shout out the Stormers because they're taking the game to Donny Craven. They're taking their matches to Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, and they've gotten good crowds. And I really hope to see other franchises doing that. I think just sort of going to
Lions.
Yeah, jeez, just get out of Ellis Park for a change. And it's great what the Stormers are doing, and they're sort of making themselves like the people's team. I think one thing the Stormers have gotten right is, the Boks came back now and this weekend, and Dobber said, I mean, it wasn't a pretty game, a lot of scrums took forever, but they did enough to win. You could see the class and what the Springboks added, see getting Marnie back, getting Willemse back, and the crazy thing with the Stormers is, they're going to get better and better and better. I mean, if you are a rugby fan and you like to go on holiday in Cape Town, the meals that's going to be prepared for you this December period is going to be sensational, because the Stormers are the brand rugby they'll play, and you look on the weekend, it was a tough fixture, and you think it is also trying to sort of, just trying to get a win back. It's the first game back from a tough tour, and I think, I mean, Dobber was the first one to say, I think the best thing they did was getting their bonus point and getting that win. I think it's one of those games where every team has that, where the best thing about it is the fact that you won. That's and they show glimpses there, And you know this, and the Stormers, yeah, and the thing is, I hold them to a very high standard because they are arguably them, Leinster. That's a Munster. That's the tier they're in because I mean they've been to. I mean, we had 2 URCs in the finals, and the finals both been at DHL Stadium. So I mean, I do hold them to a high standard, and I do think then the weekend they'll be the first. They'll be the first group to say that that's good win. Tick it off. Let's the box are back. Let's get some continuity going. I think that's the big one. But I think guys, if you're based in Cape Town or you in Kenneth Holiday, just get down to DHL Stadium because you're going to get served some delicious meals over the next few weeks because Hartzenberg is back. Dan du Plessis hopefully should be back. Willemse is back. I mean, they ran it back this weekend with the old school Marnie at 10, Willemse at 12, Galand at 15. There's Ben Loader still there. Oh, geez. I mean, their backline talent is ridiculous. And also, let me give some love to the forwards. Robin van Heerden is on a box charge. He's been one of their best signings they've made. He was incredible again in the weekend. That is on a low key box charge. I mean, to be fair, we do have 2,458 locks we can play for the Springboks, but we can add him to the mix because our lock depth is incredible. But he's been very, very good, Robin van Heerden, and I wanted to give him a shout out.
Yeah, another one that I want to say is on a box charge, going back to the backs, is Leon and Zas. I think he's just, he has that, obviously, I think he just has that finishing ability that is obviously well known. And I think he has the power as well, just breaks tackles the whole time. The try that he scored where he just ran over, I think he ran over Maurici. And I mean, that's an Italian international that he just pretty much bumped over to go and score. Like, he has all of the things that you need from a wing. I wouldn't be too surprised. And I think also Rudy Page and John de Jong are trying to also make a push for him to be in the Springbok reckoning. So yeah, I'm very much, I've been on the Zas train when he had his first breakout with the Stormers, and yeah, stayed with him even though he went to the Sharks and seemed like his career was going nowhere. But yeah, he's definitely someone that's playing really well at the moment. Yes, Kooks?
Thala, he reminds me like watching him on the weekend. Obviously, I mean his ability to just shrug off defenders, and he makes his line breaks of like he never makes a line break where it's like almost like hitting a gap. It's just like there's two defenders there, and you just can't stop him. He looks like a bigger Neef version of Mark Tellier, and then it's like he just slips tackles with ease, and you just blink, and next thing you know he's 40 meters down the field. You're like, how on earth is he 40 meters down the field? And he's been playing very, very good rugby, and I think also it just shows the culture the Stormers have. I mean, it's probably the best place to make your debut out of all the SF franchises. You come in there, the culture is set, the rugby is good. I mean, the community work is incredible. It's what the work Dobbo's done in the last 2 years. I mean, 2 years. I mean, remember 2 years ago, they couldn't buy a win at DHL Stadium. They
were the Sharks.
Yeah, geez, they just couldn't get things together, and now look at that side. I mean, the number of Springboks they've produced with the side, and then now they are a side that is, they play good rugby. You want to watch them play. All the guys there, they're great on social media, all those things where they're becoming almost like the people's team in South Africa. And I mean, I'm no Stormers fan, but it's you if they're on TV, you're gonna watch the game. You want to see the rugby they're playing, and the things they've done with Moani Lebok, I mean, Damon Willemse, Warwick Galant, I mean, so like you can see, I mean, Dion Fourie, I mean, like you can see the work they do. So I mean, I'm so confident in them. Their record for me, it doesn't bother me because I know they're going to string together a few wins coming up now, and they're only going to get better and better and better. And geez, I mean, next week against La Rochelle, oh my goodness, that is going to be, that's arguably one of the games of the year, because I got a feeling I don't think the Stormers are going to send, having just gotten back from tour, I don't see them sending the big guns to Leinster this weekend. So I don't think you'll see a Andre versus Marnie or Jasper Wiese versus Thala, we saw that they probably bashed each other for the last 10 weeks in the Rugby World Cup. I don't think they'll be like, you know what, Jasper, I'll see you in camp, brother. I'll see you in camp. I'd love to see Evan Roos against Jasper Wiese. And also shout out to Evan Roos. I think he's low-key as well, putting together another very, very strong campaign. Not as flashy as his first year. He was making those amazing line breaks, and his game's gotten a lot tighter. And he's sort of
playing like a Springbok.
Playing like a Springbok 8. And I think since last year, again, a strong season, but obviously wasn't rated because he's not doing the what people expect to see in his first season. But each year he's sort of adapting his game, getting better and better, and getting tighter and tighter. So I think, I thought he's also been very good as well.
It's quite the Evan Roos conversation has been a little bit of a roller coaster because of how he started, and then he's kind of been there and thereabouts, but he's not plugging those Springbok 8 gaps right now, which he started doing. But then his temperament, and he does stupid little shit on the field every now and then, like it makes it hard sometimes. Like sometimes you can see why he's not getting a look in. But what shame, man. What all this happens now, Visser's probably going to start. Well, he's the starting 8 at the moment. Then Rush should be in the mix. But then Cameron Hanekom comes along and he's just dominating. Ulrich Lowe, I agree. Kooks, I think blindside flanks the place for him. But at 8 at the moment, like Rush has got some work to do. He's got work to do, but he's tightened his game. He's changed his game. Now that's great. Like the same thing as the Springboks. Your foundations are your defense and all that. And then the flashy stuff comes later. If Roos can sort out that and do that Springbok 8 job, when we need him to play in the trams, he's going to cook because that's just so natural to him.
I need Vince McMahon to go down to the Springbok camp to set up a triple threat match between Jasper Visser, Evan Roos, and Cameron Hanekom. Just you three. You put the puck number 8 in the middle. You Oaks sort it out. You Oaks carry it out.
Visser wins hands down because he's got no front teeth. Just simple. He's already got the edge. He's got I'm sorry. Like Roos and Hanekom need to get some battle scars first. Visser wins, no teeth. Done. No brainer.
There was a carry of Visser 2 weeks ago when he basically bulldozed like 3 players and he just gained 15 meters. That I don't know if there's not many better ball carrying eight man than he is. It's like when I'm bored sometimes I just like to watch that last scrum of the World Cup final. Just watch Visser just basically just somehow not get tackled out or somehow not lose the ball
in
that final scrum just because of the sheer strength of that man. But
he
I think
had the whole scrum on him.
No, it's ridiculous. But I mean, for the Springboks, to lose Dwayne Vermeulen, arguably one of the greatest 8s we've ever produced and one of the greatest 8s, in rugby. And then you sit in a situation where you have Jasper Visser, you've got Cameron Hanekom, you've got Evan Roos. That's a good place to. And I'm not going to forget Kwaka Smith, who can be whatever he wants to be in life because that's how amazing he is. But it's our depth is actually scary. I feel bad for the position was probably sitting there there's teams like poor Toby Faletau's being dragged to play another season, with a broken leg just because Wales still can't find an 8 and here we are, we're sitting with 3 incredible 8th mans fighting it out to be a Springbok. Yes, she's and I say it again, you kick a tree in South Africa, lose 4, it drops out. So it just shows in what a good place we're in. That's why I'm saying this now. Rassie Erasmus would not have taken this job again if he didn't think we could win 3 in a row. And he sees the players coming through and he's like, yeah, I can see a little 3-peat coming. There's no way he takes this job and does not look at what we have, or the depth that he has around him, and go like, yeah, I think we can actually run it back.
Let's do a bit of a roundup of the rest of the URC just so that we can just discuss some of the other teams and storylines.
Please, can we talk about the Sharks again?
You started mentioning. You want to talk about the Sharks again? You're welcome to.
Being sarcastic. Stop that.
So as Shaun mentioned earlier, trying to distract us, Munster beat Glasgow 40 points to 29. Munster looked like they're running away with it at some stage, so Glasgow did actually pretty well to keep it within 11. Scotland beat Cardiff in a Welsh derby 29-23. You have Ulster losing to Edinburgh 27 points to 24. Edinburgh looking like they're making a run this year. Leicester just beat Connacht 22-24. Connacht fans, probably hate Leinster right now. And Benetton just continuing their winning ways, beating Ospreys 18 points to 13. Shaun, I'll start with you. Which team is the biggest surprise on where they are on the log? Is it Glasgow at 2nd, Edinburgh at 5th, Benetton at 6th, or Zebre at 13th?
I'd probably go with Glasgow. They've been competitive before, but they are looking different. There's something about them. They're looking strong home and away. And I don't think, like, the surprise is maybe bad. Like, it's not a surprise that they're second. It's just how they're looking at the moment. That's what I'm very impressed about. So it would have to be Glasgow for me.
Cooks, for you, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Benetton, or Zebre, the biggest surprise?
I mean, Zebra obviously they're flying, but I think Edinburgh as well. I mean, Sean Everett is doing an incredible job there. I mean, I think they made again some very good signings, playing very good rugby, and this is the Sean Everett renaissance, and it's been great to see another South African coach doing well overseas, and yeah, so I think it's great to see. I think everything for Scotland as well, having two teams competing. I think it's massive for them. So yeah, I mean, it all means it's great for them until they flip and shit the bed again in the Six Nations. But I mean, that's February's worries. But yeah, I mean, like, they don't get me started on Gregor Townsend. But anyway, um, but I do think with Edinburgh, I just love the rugby they're playing. I think Sean Everett. I mean, listen, he left here. People sort of rid him off. Got a 1 year contract at Edinburgh, and look, you know, he's done an incredible job. Probably no one saw this coming. I know Zebra is an incredible story, playing very very good rugby as well. It just those also never down and out. I mean, I know last year they were the best second half team in the competition because the first half they just gave teams like 25 to 30 points head starts, and then the final score would be like 43-30. And you're like, well, it'd be nice if you guys can just put together for like, just concede 10 points in the first half as opposed to 30. Just make it a good game. But I mean, I think URC is in a very good place. But I think my surprise team at the moment has got to be Edinburgh.
My shout out has to go to Benetton, though. Sorry, Thala.
Yeah, no, I think I was going to say Benetton looked like they could actually stay in the top 8. I mean, look, naturally, the top 8 now doesn't have the Stormers, and you would imagine that the Stormers are going to be in the top 8. So you look at the likes of, Edinburgh, Benetton, Ulster, Connacht, and say, which one of you guys are going to fall out? And yeah, I don't think it's going to be Benetton. I mean, they pretty much, have most of the Italian team there. I mean, Zebra is also signed well, signed the likes of like Nicotera there as well. But it's a really good team, and they're just playing together really well. They're getting, like, you can see that the structure's starting to come out now. So you know, I can't. It would be a disappointment if Benetton aren't at least in the quarterfinals this season. They should be qualifying for the Champions Cup. They should be in the top 8, maybe even top 6 of the URC. I mean, they should fancy themselves against pretty much any team that isn't Munster, Leinster, and the Stormers, I think. And speaking of, Sean, is there any team that you think is joining the Munster, Leinster, Stormers top tier?
I don't know. I think the Bulls are going long this season. Long in one or both.
Cooks?
I think Glasgow for me. I mean, Bulls also, but I think Glasgow. Yeah, it's just building on the foundation they sort of set up last season. Very good at home. Yeah, so I think Glasgow is going to be the team that can sort of make that step up into that next year.
Cooks, the question for you is: Jacques Nienaber going to actually arrive in Dublin or not?
No, he's there, Thala. You actually made his debut on the weekend. He's there. He's back. He's finally
I missed
come
that
to work.
part. My bad.
He did his own individual trophy tour at home, just cousins, family, just just selling stories, breakfast tours. Just adding. Apparently, he's just going to his breakfast on his own. Like, guys, I'm here at breakfast. I've got something to say. But now he's finally got back to work.
Sure. Imagine you are starting a new job and you basically started off late because you've just been so successful in your old job. Like, Jacques is living the best balanced life in the world.
Also, I love the fact he starts on Monday. Like, I don't do preseason, boys. I'm gonna up on Monday. Here's my plan. You got 5 days to get it right.
We all know a club rugby player like that. Every club rugby team has 10 of those players that do not do preseason, and they come in and they play first team. Jacques one of them.
Leicester versus La Rochelle this weekend obviously will be absolutely epic. And then, Cooks, a question especially for you. Favorite Welsh side from this season so far?
Oh, Thala, don't give me those thoughts on those wastes, man. I'm gonna go for the Dragons. They're trying, man. Hey, shame my team. Oh, They're trying, man. They got battered by the Sharks and the Lions, but there's something there, guys. I'm trying to get back in the good books of the Dragons faithful. Rio Dyer's there. He's trying some stuff. So I'm sticking with the Dragons. They're not lost. So they're lost now, but they weren't lost for the first 4 weeks. So at least there's progress. It's small wins. By the time we get to 2038, they'll be like 10th. So it's small wins.
Shaun, the best or your favorite non-Springbok South African rugby player so far in the URC teams?
Oof. Geez, thanks for that. Shit, I don't know. Can we
It
pass
is a
this
high
on?
ball of high balls.
Yeah.
That is such a high ball from Thala.
I'm going to drop that.
The wind is roaring right now.
I'm going to drop that ball, and then I'm going to go with Ben Loader. Oh, what a save. Sheesh, man. Thala, that is the worst one you've ever given me. Eh? I'm just sitting here daydreaming, listening, I'm thinking
Shaun,
about
I
Wales.
meant actually sorry, Shaun. You know what? I meant a South African player that isn't playing for the Springboks, except for the Springboks that come back from World Cup, who's been playing well.
Look, Cameron
but Ben Loader is not a bad answer for
Ben. But I thought you meant a non-South African playing in the URC.
My bad.
I'd definitely go Cameron Hanekom. He's cooking at the moment. I'm really interested. It's quite intriguing for me because I just really want to see how he does for the rest of the season. But we all know the second season syndrome is quite a serious one. So I think for me would be a good one. There is a very, very good chance that he gets capped this year already, which would be quite remarkable. But this season, but next year. But Cameron Hanekom, for me, I'm interested to see how that works out now and in the future.
For you, Kooks?
I'm going to give it to Ruben van Heerden. I think, I thought it was solid last season. Stormers, great signing, and then he's just sort of gotten better and better as the season's progressed. I think, he's been massive for the Stormers, and I think losing someone like Marvin Orie is massive. I think he sort of stepped up and played a bigger role in the side, and I thought he's been fantastic, and I think, I think he's going to continue having a big season.
I'm going to push someone I've slandered here a lot before. I think the goose is loose, guys. I think Jan Goosen is cooking at the moment. He's played some really good rugby. Just on that pass alone I think he passed it to Hansel Moody for the one try. Yes. Obviously we don't have to go back on this Goosen talking point, but yeah, when he's playing front foot rugby, there's not many better in the world, I think.
And wait for it. And he's out for 6 weeks. Thanks, Thala. Well done. Just pinchings. Well done, Thala. Good job. Well done.
I am sorry, guys.
Thala's just handicapped his own side.
Okay, top 14, very quickly. Basically, long story short, too long didn't read, is Paris is doing really well. Racing and Stade are near the top. Toulon's doing quite well. The likes of Toulouse and La Rochelle having a slow start, obviously bleeding in their French players. And Montpellier is looking very dicey there at the bottom. Shaun, I don't quickly summarize the top 14. No, I'm joking. But I think the main thing with the top 14 so far is, at least, for Racing and Toulon and Stade, they can be pretty happy with, things are going fine. And for Castres and Pau, they can just be really happy that they've, I think, made hay while the sun has shone with, the internationals being away.
Yeah. So just a general thing about the top 14, they'll play one side at home and basically an almost different side away. And home ground wins are more important than anything. But yeah, I'll tell you what's been very interesting for me is Pau. Obviously, the Whitelocks are there, but they've been fighting a little bit outside of their weight category, and Stud a little bit too, because Stud when Heineken Meyer was there, and they really struggled for a bit before and a bit after, and they're kind of they look like they're having fun at the moment. I think their midfield of Ward and Joe Marchant has been exciting, and we'll definitely see a lot of it. The big the interesting thing for me is Toulouse. Obviously, they're quite heavy with French international, so they missed out on a lot of them. But the Toulouse and La Rochelle have been there and thereabouts, and on the bottom half of that. So they're going to be looking to push it up. Obviously, the next 2 weeks of European rugby is going to put the top 14 on hold. And the other thing is Lyon are bottom. Sorry, they're not bottom. They're second from bottom, but that's been a bit challenging. But the biggest thing for me out of this whole top 14 is Montpellier are rooted at the bottom of the table. They have lost a lot. I can't remember. But they've only got 7 points. I mean, there's some big names there. They've been through a little bit of a roller coaster the last few seasons, new coaches, new this, new that. But Montpellier to be bottom of the log is absolutely wild. I know it's early on in the season, and the season will go on for another 2 years before it ends. But that's crazy. It's crazy to see them there.
Yeah, 1 win out of 9 is just a ridiculous record at the moment. We'll talk some Champions Cup in a few moments, but Cooks, just very quickly on the Premiership. I mean, the Premiership has 10 teams this season. Right now on the log, 8 of them are within touching distance, or at least 7 of them are within touching distance, with Leicester being only 7 points behind Bath. And I guess the one good thing with having less teams is it's a lot more competitive. Saracens are probably still the best team in the competition, but Bath looks really good with obviously all the high-powered signings they've made the last 2 seasons. Jan van Graan doing really well. And Sale were obviously the losing finalists, and they've continued on their good form from last season.
Say it, Thala. Say it. Don't say high-powered signings at Bath. You know who is the high-powered signing in Finland.
Ollie Lawrence, yes, he's been really good.
Don't just like sugar go around it. You know, Finn baby is there. I think I need to order a jersey. But I think the Premiership has been good. I think the weird thing in England is the actual rugby has been good. It's the shit on the outside, like in the offices and the money and like the actual product. I think the Guinness Premiership has been very, very good. There's been some really good rugby, but it's obviously it's down to 10 teams. But the problem is, it's just all the off-field stuff is sort of like tinting the Premiership. But the rugby's been good. I mean, the teams have been Leicester's been playing well. Saracens obviously they just trickle along in the competition. But Bath, Johan van Graan, now the SA coach doing well, sort of took over Bath when they were falling apart, and now obviously got them to the top. So I mean, made the greatest signing probably since rugby turned professional and getting Finn Russell down there. So
second greatest, because he will announce that Aches Neyman is going to go to Bath.
Yes, Shaun, don't come here and you also love coming here and just ruining Finn Russell's moment. Bath was 5-2 getting relegated a couple seasons ago. Now Finn comes, now they're the top of the table. If COVID would come again and the league ends now, Bath are champions. Don't come here and ruin Finn Russell's doing magic. Please, guys. Yes, I'm excited to see. No, Archie must come back home. Archie must come.
It's Bulls. It's Bulls or Bath. It's Bulls or Bath. I'd love.
But to be fair, but to be fair, Archie only plays games during a World Cup here. So I mean, you sign him. He's only playing 2027. So because I love how Archie just paces himself for the World Cups. He probably should stay away from Briars for the next 3 years just in case, just to be safe.
Open fires, not for him.
Yeah, not for him.
Sure. Yeah, I think the Premiership is shaping up really well. And yes, Ollie Lawrence has been great for Bath. I'm not sure about their fly half. Let's now talk about the Champions Cup opening this weekend. So many great games to look forward to. I'm going to give you guys just each a game just to fanboy over for a few minutes. Shaun, I mean, it's not a bad start when you can go Glasgow versus Northampton. Northampton just beat Saracens over the weekend. They're looking like they're coming into some form. They got obviously all the English players back. The likes of Courtney Laws want to still play well. It's a really, really good team there at Northampton, and I think that match against Glasgow is going to be really good.
Yeah, it's one of those games that'll be hard to pick because you would expect both sides to roll out their sort of first teams, which is expected. Most teams will do that, but it's a big one. And the Champions Cup's not what it used to be, where you had to get a win early on to really secure and help yourself through. The Champions Cup now, it can be, you can win and lose a couple games and still make it through. But it's a cracking one to start off with. What what a way to get going. Glasgow versus Saints is a good start. It's not an absolute blockbuster, but it'll be a game that'll be worth its money.
Okay, maybe let's do it like this. Let's do some predictions while we going to the games as well. So, Shaun, Glasgow, Northampton.
I'm gonna go with Warriors.
Okay, Cooks.
I'm gonna go. Warriors at home.
Okay, Bordeaux versus Connacht. Connacht playing at home. Cooks prediction.
Ooh, tough. I'm gonna go Bordeaux.
No ways away from home. Connacht to win that. No ways.
Bordeaux looks good, especially Penno scoring. I think he scored 18 tries in his debut at home.
Yeah, but in Ireland at the sports ground, it's a whole different baby. No, I think Connacht by 9.
And a certain Bandi Aki apparently is making his debut for the season as well.
Up against Mofana again.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice. Saturday we start with Toulon versus Exeter. Shaun, Toulon. I mean, I just gave you the prediction.
That's crazy. I'm a little torn with this one. I do think Toulon take this. Chiefs last year maybe would have been a better shot. I think they're a little bit wobbly at the moment. Toulon at home. French sides at home, this is big for them. So expect them to go all out or throw punches. So Toulon.
Cooks?
Yeah, same. Toulon at home.
Okay, let me let you fanboy over Bath versus Ulster. I mean, two of your teams that you like to see cook. Finn Russell versus James Hume.
Yeah, I do. I mean, my favorite centre pairing to watch, but I think Bath is rolling, so I'm gonna go. Ulster's playing well as well, but I'll go Bath at home.
Yeah, I want Bath to win too. It's a tough one. Ulster have been shaky though. That's the thing. I think they're a little bit leaky. So it's a little bit of a hard one. You kind of expect more from them, but Bath, I'd say Bath take this at the Rec.
Okay, then Cardiff or the token Welsh side in the competition. They're facing Toulouse in France. Shaun, any hopes for Cardiff?
Toulouse by 22.
Yeah, Toulouse coming off a loss to Stade Francais is going to be. It's the worst time for Cardiff to play Toulouse. So I think Toulouse could be a bit of a hiding.
Yeah, I think it's also one of the last DuPont games they have until he goes to the sevens as well. So yeah, Toulouse by 222 might be closer to the mark.
DuPont with 15 hat-tricks.
Yes. Bulls versus Saracens. Bulls playing at Loftus. Owen Farrell against Owen Farrell and Mara Itoje against probably the fans that hate them the most outside of England. Cooks, prediction?
Oh, I think I'm gonna go for Champions Cup heritage here and go Saracens.
Yeah, me too. What a game. I think Saracens win this.
Yes, I was actually going to maybe do a bit of a turn and say, seems like a Saracen statement win, but now that both of you predicted it, I'm definitely going to predict the Bulls now.
Farrell's back this weekend as well. I mean, just an article now, Farrell's back as well this weekend.
No, yeah, and that Saracens team on paper looks amazing. Gonzalez is now in it. McFarlane's in it. Sinti's in the midfield. Looks really, really good. Munster versus Bayonne, Shaun?
Oh, Munster. The Red Army.
Cooks?
Yeah, I got to go with the Red Army. Munster as well.
Yeah, I think Munster, that's my early prediction. Munster's going to be in the final. I'm not sure against who. Yeah. Bristol versus Leon. Cooks? Bristol at home.
Ooh, I'm going to go Leon.
Oh, no chance. Bears. Bears by a lot.
Bears only play well on Friday night.
This is true. This is very true.
And this is a late Saturday game. Yeah. I think Leon might sneak a surprise here, actually. I see where Cooks is going. Sunday afternoon, Sale is hosting Stade Francais.
This is the hardest.
I think Stade Francais.
Yeah.
I think Stade Francais.
I don't know. I think Sale lost last week. And man, I'm going Sale, but I think it's going to be probably the game of the weekend.
Okay, and then Pollard against, again, I guess, Clayton Blommetjies, according to Cooks. Cooks, who are you predicting?
I think Leicester, Leicester to take it home.
I think Leicester too.
So excited.
There's also rumors that the Stormers are going to send a weak-ish side.
Yeah. The Brock Harris All-Stars are going to be going to Welford Road, I assume. And then off game of the weekend, the rematch of the final. No love lost between these two teams. La Rochelle against Leinster. Shaun, who do you think's taking this one?
Leinster are going to win it well.
Oh, Sharky, you took my bet. I think Leinster is coming in with big revenge. Got Jacques Nina by there, coach who can actually win a final. So, yeah.
It's not a final, so Leinster
the difference. Yeah. 100%.
Jeez, guys.
I can't wait for Jacques Nina when they get to the final. Just to find 15 South Africans and just like, yeah, this is my team.
And a 7-1 bench, and then all of a sudden everyone will like it.
Please, rock my world and pick a 7-1 bench this weekend. Shocky, I love that. I need him to pick a 7-1 split. I need this to happen. I need him to piss off all the Irish fans that said it was against rugby ethics. Shocky, you could become my favorite coach of all time if you just pick a 7-1 split. That's what I need.
Shaun, very quickly, where's Greg Aldred? Is he still injured?
I must be honest, I didn't follow La Rochelle last weekend or the weekend before, so I don't know. I'll look for you while you guys pick the next ones.
Okay, Kooks, then the final one, just two Michelin chefs there, Marcus Smith and against Trevor Nyakane at fly half, Racing versus Harlequins at La Défense Arena in Paris.
So I think Paris is going to be rocking, so I definitely think Racing wins that one.
Aldred didn't play on the weekend, so I'm not sure. Maybe he's still out. Racing Quins could be fun. I'm going to go with Quins and Andre Esterhuizen just steamrolling the planet.
Yeah, I think Racing. I think they need to make a big run. I think in the the Champions Cup this season.
Tirkolisi, sorry, Racing, sorry, my fault. I didn't. My bad. They're playing at home. Racing by a lot.
Yeah. Very quickly on some notable Challenge Cup games. We're not going to do predictions, just going quickly over the games. The Georgia Black Lions are playing their first game in the Challenge Cup. They're playing against Gloucester. The Cheetahs are back. They're playing Zebre this weekend. The Sharks are playing POW this weekend. I'm sure the likes of Etzebeth are going to be at Ushaka Marine World this weekend. And then, Perpignan are playing the Lions. So the Lions are making a trip to France. So I expect them to be eating some hot dogs away from home. Gents, just very quick, actually, I don't think we have much time, but yeah, Shaun, any very quick shout outs?
Dragons versus Oyonnax will be my pick of the Challenge Cup. But my shout out goes to the Blitzboks. Yokes are freaking legends, and you've brought the vibe back again. So looking forward to them playing this weekend in Cape Town and winning.
Kooks?
I don't have a shout out. I've got a quick mini rant. What the hell, New Zealand Rugby? Why is Super Rugby teams not sponsored by Adidas anymore? Listen now, we're losing recipes. Super Rugby needs to be flipping cancelled. First of all, no SA teams. Then we have, I love having the VGN teams. They add something different. Now, Adidas is no longer the apparel sponsor for the New Zealand team. What the hell is going on with Sansa? Those guys.
That's what happens,
every year, those Oaks try to find ways to piss me off. Now, they're sponsored by Classic. What? We are losing recipes. What is going on with New Zealand Rugby? This is why they're not World Cup champions right now. This is why they don't have 4 World Cup trophies in their cabinet, because they're doing things like this. I'm so angry. I'm so. I look like. There's something. The Classic Blues kit is so nice.
It's an institution, logo.
No, man. What is good? Watch now. Adidas now not sponsor All Blacks, and the sponsors are sponsored like Umbro or something. Then just cancel the whole thing. Just write off New Zealand Rugby. I'm telling you, the first Super Rugby game is gonna be on a Wednesday night. Watch like a flipping club game. So sick of those guys. I'm gonna petition now for Super Rugby to be cancelled. They must just play with themselves. NPC from January to October. Australia can play cricket half the year, or do whatever they do while they try to find a coach. Fijian teams, they can come join URC. I mean, New Zealand rugby needs to come to an end, guys. It has to come to an end. Especially Super Rugby.
Okay, let's end on that note. Thank you so much for listening to the Rugby Biz podcast. Please follow us on our social media channels to hear more about what's happening in the rugby world. And we will see you after the first weekend of the Champions Cup. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.